Hey guys, David here and welcome back to another episode. Today, as it's a Monday, it means it's a special guest interview. And today we have Stuart Mackenzie. Now you might have heard that name before simply because Stuart was on a couple of months back. When we did the FitPro Lead Gen Tour, we met up with Stuart in Liverpool. We did an interview then and he was one of our first ever guests. So we've waited a few months and we've invited him back on. So what he's going to talk about today is some of the stuff that you might have heard before, but it's so important that we get it right, because if you can nail your sales and get good at communicating and talking to people on the phone or during consultations, not only are you going to be making more sales, but you're going to be making more profit in the long run. So I don't want to spoil the episode anymore for you. I'm going to stop talking now and let you dive straight into that episode. But before I do, if you're new to the channel, don't forget you can always click that big red button below to subscribe and make sure you never miss another episode. Anyway, let's dive straight into this week's guest interview. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode. This week we have a returning guest. Must have been, I don't know, a good few weeks ago now, maybe a couple of months ago since you were last on, I think.
Yeah, beginning of the year, I think.
Was it? Yeah, but so many people keep bringing up the same question. They're struggling with sales. They're following the guidance or the stuff I'm giving them on generating leads, but then they just can't make the sales. So what we want to try and do today is Stuart's going to basically give us all the kind of top tips, the things that he doesn't really want to share with us as much as possible. But before we do that, how did you first get started in the fitness industry?
In the fitness industry, it was one of them where I'd done the whole thing of I got qualified and jumped in a commercial gym and just assumed that I think I was 18 at the time. I assumed that just because you have personal trainer on your back that everybody's going to walk over to you with cash in hand to kind of pay you for sessions. And I found out very quickly that doesn't really work like that. So I got out of it. I had to get out of it for a couple of years to go and do something that paid the bills. I eventually got back into it, wanted to save a bunch of money up in a pure gym in Warrington. Did very, very well. Didn't like management. So me and a business partner just opened a gym up with a credit card. And it kind of just spiraled from there. You know, we had a tiny gym with no equipment, maxed out as many credit cards as we could just to stay open and whatever else. And I'm sure you're aware of what it takes to run a gym. We then expanded into a bigger gym when we couldn't afford to. And we just kept growing, and we did okay, but it was one of those things where you've got overheads, and we weren't business people. We were just personal trainers that had credit cards, literally just PTs with credit cards. That's all we were. So we did okay. Went through all that. I got to a point where I just wasn't. It wasn't for me anymore. I couldn't physically keep up with the travel, the stress, the gym, everything else. So I kind of got out of that. Started doing coaching out of another gym, went into online coaching and just kind of went full circle and back in the commercial gym again. So my route into the fitness industry is probably quite similar to a lot of people, where I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was about to leave school. My options were parents telling me that I had to go into the police, the army, or something very, very safe and secure. Whereas I didn't want to do anything. I certainly didn't want to go to university, but I liked going to the gym, and I noticed people were training people. So I thought, well, yeah, I might as well go and do that. That's something that looks good. And that's how I did it. So really, really simple, really, really basic. Got into PT through seeing other PTs, went down the route of owning in the gym, got out of that a few years later. And then, just the usual online coaching and commercial gym PT as well.
So how did you then transition from going from PT to online to now becoming some sort of sales machine? What was that transition, or what was it that made you want to do that jump?
I think, to be honest, for a long time, I was trying to find a way to get out of coaching, but because I did not enjoy it anymore. I didn't enjoy the process of creating training programs and getting people results. Like when I was training people in person, I was only enjoying turning up and having a laugh with my clients. When it came to creating the training programs, I was it got to a point where I was giving people near enough the exact same program to everyone, so I kind of felt like a bit of a fraud in doing that. And I knew I needed to do something else, but I didn't know what that was because I've got no qualifications in anything other than being a personal trainer. So I thought I have to make this work, otherwise I'm screwed. So it was like during a bit of like soul searching periods of time where I was like applying for other jobs, applying for things that I knew I didn't want to do. Like I applied to be a postman. I applied to sell coffee machines in a Curry's and all these kind of things. And it got to the point where I was thinking, right, what is the only part of the day that I enjoy doing? And it was the creating the content, and it was taking people's money. I know that sounds a bit harsh, but it was the thrill of the sale. That's the part that I enjoyed, knowing that me and you could have this conversation. I could direct you to a point where you trusted me and felt, oh my God, this is the result that I want. Here's my money. That's just the part that gave me the thrill. And I knew I was good at it. Or I knew I was okay at it. But with my own stuff, I knew I was okay at my own stuff. You have an emotional attachment to your own stuff and whatever else. And I was heavily invested in, I needed to make sales because I'd never done great. I'd always done okay as a coach, you know, with like income, whatever else. So yeah, and it got to the point where I was when the transition happened, I was in a commercial gym, wiping down treadmills, thinking, nah, this is final straw. I honestly could see myself being depressed if it carried on. Like my life was just going to be over if I carried on. So I saw a post. I saw someone posting about, can anyone do sales calls? And I knew him personally anyway, because he's in some of the groups that I'm in. Just sent him a voice note and said, listen, get me on these calls as fast as you can. I'll do them. And it just spiraled from there.
Yeah.
I was closing everybody. He referred me on to someone else. I was closing everybody, or near enough everybody. And I was like, yeah, this is me. I was waking up every day excited to like go and do my job. Do you know what I mean? I was spending all of my shift hours in the back staff room when the manager wasn't there doing sales calls. So I was like, you know what? This is it. This is the transition now. I'm done. I'm not a PT anymore. So
that part is just key. Anybody that's actually watching this, whether you're brand new to the industry or you've been in the industry for a long time, if you're not enjoying it, you have to be really honest with yourself. If you're not enjoying the job, maybe the personal training industry isn't for you. Maybe there is another part of the industry that you would enjoy much more, or there's a completely different industry that you'd enjoy even better. But don't be doing something because you feel like you're forced to do it, or you've put all your money into it and it just isn't right for you. Find the things you enjoy doing.
Yeah, take ego out of it. I literally held on to being a coach for so long because of my ego. I thought that, you know, if I walked down the street and people, you know, asked me what I did, if I said I wasn't a personal trainer anymore, I thought people would be like, oh God, he's a failure. Look at the state of him. He's not there's so many different things inside of the fitness industry that you could be good at, whether it's actually, are you quite good at creating content? Could you create content for other people? Could you generate leads for people? Could you do sales? You know, all these different types, there's a million things you could do inside of maybe you could help personal trainers with their, you know, maybe you could be a coach under another online coach because the stress has gone for you now. You know what I mean? There's so many different elements in the industry that you can take on.
The biggest one, stop being that self-employed person. If you don't enjoy every aspect of it, go and work for somebody. They're going to pay you that decent wage. You're going to have all your holidays, all your pension taken care of. You'll probably have a decent set of clients you have to look after. And you're not stressed by doing sales calls, generating leads, everything else that comes into it. So we've now established you've gone from one to the other, and now you've really enjoyed sales. At what point then did you felt, let's stop working for this guy doing his sales and let's launch my own sales business?
So it was one of them where, I was technically like still self-employed. I wasn't hired. It was just, you know, 25 quid a pop for, you know, every sale I made, he just give me 25 quid. So it got to the point where I was doing calls for him and I was doing calls for another person. And I had more people asking me, oh, what's this thing you're doing? I've heard you doing this thing, you know, is that something you could do for me? And I was at the point where I was doing like anywhere between 8 and 12 calls a day. So I was like, I'm earning a couple of £100 a day. I know I could earn more, and I know people have higher priced services, but now I'm in a position where these guys who are currently having me do their calls, I know that they need me more than I technically need them because I can go out and get another client.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to turn this into a business. Like, I don't want people just to, you know, if he increases his ad spend over there, well, I can't do the calls for him now. So now my reputation's screwed there. So do you know what I mean? Like I was at a crucial point where I was like, oh my God, something's good happening. I need something. I just need to do something. So I basically said to them, listen, I could probably open up quite a few more time slots if I completely leave the gym. If I just walk away from the gym tomorrow, which I did, I will just tell them I'm not coming back in, meaning I've got 4 or 5 more slots per day for you. But that's going to mean I need to now start charging like a retainer. If you want me to do your calls, you have to pay me almost for the privilege of time. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I could have just walked away and they could have been screwed. I'm not like that. I wouldn't have done that. But that's the type of scenario. They knew they needed to keep hold of me. So I was like, right, okay, cool. If the both of you can pay me this retainer, more calls. They just did it 20 minutes later. I was in. I knew I had a business then. I knew I had the starts of something that could become a business.
Yeah.
And then from there, more and more people were saying, could you do these calls? Could you do these calls? Could you do these calls? And I just said yes to everybody, shit my pants a little bit, and then just hired a bunch of people in that I knew could do sales calls. I was like, can you do sales calls? Do you want to do sales calls? Here's some sales calls. Yeah. I'll pay you. And it just spiraled from there. So over time, everything's now like a little bit more legit rather than just this being passed over here, there and ever. It's a lot more of an actual thing now. But yeah, it came from that. Things just kind of spiraling out of control in a good way. And me just having to deal with what was happening. Just fast action during those times.
Again, there's 2 lessons there that you said that anybody can relate to. The first one being, if you're just be the best you can possibly be at that one thing, and that will generate you loads of referrals. You were doing 100%. Those sales for one person, sales for somebody else, and more people asking you to do sales for you. So when you're good at one thing, people will come to you.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say was, don't let people dictate how much you get paid or how much you deserve to charge for your services. Be in control of those prices. So you might 100%. See your competition charging £15, £10 for a PT session. You think, bloody hell, that's maybe what I need to charge. You work on what you want to get paid, and stick with that. Yeah.
I had that in the early stages because people were going, how much is it? What is it? How do you do it? And I tell them my prices and my fees, and they'd go, oh, well, can we not just pay you by the hour? Because I was speaking to such and such about, I was like, well, if you want them, go and pay them by the hour. But you're getting a call center. If you want a coach to sell your services, this is how it is going to be. Yeah. It was just as blunt as, that's fine. Go and pay by the hour. But if you want the quality and if you want the results that we're currently getting inside of your business, this is what you will have to pay. And I wouldn't budge on it. I still get it now where people are like, oh, can we do this over the commission instead? I'm like, nah, no. It's just a blunt, straight answer of no. Not that you have to be blunt with people who are trying to lose weight and all that kind of stuff, but it's just the premise of charge what you want to charge because you believe you're worth it, but also remember you're exchanging your time for it and your time's valuable. So just because, Steve over here, if Steve's charging 20 quid and you're charging 30 quid, you value your time a little bit more than what Steve does, and that's fine. That's okay for Steve and you. Charge what you want to charge.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Okay, so before we actually jump into sales itself, what kind of few tips have you got on lead generation? Because that's technically all we do here is generate leads for fitness businesses, from websites to social media to Facebook ads. You've been a FitPro owner of your own fitness business. What tips can you give to people on generating leads first?
To be honest, I think the biggest one, and it kind of links into sales as well, the reason why I was able to grow my thing so fast is just solve a problem. Solve a very specific problem for a very specific person in a very specific time frame. If you can get that message across, you're going to gain a bunch of interest very, very quickly. Whether that's through Facebook ads, organic stuff, whatever. Solve a problem that people want solving. It's not good enough to be on the weight loss coach. Everybody wants to lose. Everybody in the world wants to lose weight. Do you know what I mean? Everybody in the UK always thinks, could probably do losing a few pounds. Find me one person that doesn't think that, or doesn't think they want to improve their physique somehow. So solve a very specific problem, and you will draw people's attention towards that problem that want that solved, if that makes sense.
Mate, that is the key thing, especially to new people. They've just qualified. Let's work with my aunt. She's 67, 4 kids, just divorced, and I've got a mate, 17, about to go on IB for holiday. You can't work with that wider range of people. You have to really fine tune, and then you get load of clients. The wider your audience is, the less clients. It seems weird, yeah. It really does seem weird. The wider your net is, the less clients you have. Narrower your net is, the more clients you will attract.
Yeah, it's one of them. Like it's when you first get qualified, then okay, cool. If you're in a commercial gym, sort of work with as many different people as you can, but that's to kind of find your feet with who you enjoy working with. When if you're working with a 45-year-old fella here and a 26-year-old woman there, and a 65-year-old male over there, like if you realize that you get better results and you have a better rapport with one client, mimic them with everybody now that you want to work with. That's the person I want to work with. That's who I'm going to push for, because otherwise you can spend 5-10 years working with everybody, and there's loads of PTs that they'll do 40 or 50 sessions per week and earn whatever money they want to earn, etc., which is great, but you've actually probably just prevented yourself from huge growth over the time period that you've done that. You've capped yourself completely, instead of just focusing on one major niche and then maybe a couple of sub niches alongside. Just because you say I work with men doesn't mean you couldn't train a woman.
Yeah.
As long as they fit your bill, do you know what I mean? So, but you'll have capped yourself.
You work with such a wide variety of people. I can guarantee, like you had in that situation, there's going to be a couple of those clients you think, oh no, it's her in at 3:00 today. Oh no, it's him again.
Yeah.
Just find the people you enjoy working with and just enjoy the job.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to do with some of my sales stuff in the early stages. Some that we both know. I just had to. You just have to end it sometimes, because they're not your ideal client. I'm getting messages at 4 a.m. asking about what sales I've made, and it's like, I tell you what, how about you just go away? Like, this isn't the thing anymore. You don't fit my ideal client. I'm not prepared to, sell my time for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, no amount of money can get me out of bed for a knobhead. So you're gonna have to go. So I mean, they're not the words that I use, but do you know what I mean? The kind of work with who you want to work with, because it's your business. At the end of the day, your business is going to live and die by the results that you get people.
Yeah.
So make sure that they're the best, not perfect, but the best fit possible for you as a coach to be able to work with.
I was speaking to somebody the other day about it, and she keeps her clients quite well. And when they stay for a long time. But she's been taking a load of new people on who go in and straight back out again, in and straight back out. And she's struggling. And I just said, your issue is you're just taking on the wrong type of clients. You just send the wrong messages to the wrong people, the people you don't want, and they're taking you up on the message. Your message has to be, you have to know your audience, and then you can write the right messages to those people.
100%. And I think we all think short term as well, which is kind of, maybe there is some irony in there, because what I do is all short-term sales. I'm getting as many people through the door for this company as possible. But you shouldn't always just take people on for the money and the revenue, because down the line, if you're taking on a bunch of these new clients, and some of them are just straight up leaving, well, they're not very good brand ambassadors. So there's a few people that you've not been able to show off and shout about that probably haven't given you any referrals, which again, in the long run, may have just capped your income or made you hit a ceiling, because instead of having 20 solid ideal client perfect things who bring in 2 or 3 people each who are just like them, you've had 50 people where 40 of them left your business anyway. So
Burn rate is massive. Okay, so before we dive into chasing leads via phone calls and stuff like that and running ads to generate these leads, you're quite good on your social media channel. Your clients are shouting about you, and you're getting a lot of inbox inquiries. How would we best deal with inbox inquiries to turn them from a lead or an inbox inquiry to an actual sale?
So for me personally, right now, when someone drops me a message, it'll usually say, because I have the sprint and then the sales, they'll normally say, ask me what exactly is it that I do. I've seen a few things, blah, 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 blah. I've got this problem. is that something that you can help with? So it's a little bit similar to like, someone going, oh, I'm trying to lose weight and I've seen a few of your posts. I would normally ask them, thanks for the message. How much of me do you know? How much of me do you know? How much of me have you seen, type of thing, just so I know where they're at.
Yeah.
Because I'll see my content as almost like a funnel. What part of the funnel have they come into? If they followed me for like a few days and I'm at the point where I'm trying to launch a new intake, have they come to me at the very end of the funnel and they haven't seen all the stuff prior? For me, that means that I'll then know how to direct this conversation. If I know they've seen a shed load of stuff from me, it's going to be very easy to say, thanks for the message. How much have you seen from me? What you know? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, well, the best thing for us to do to find out if I can actually help you is have a conversation to see if what you need is what I do. So when's the best time to give you a call, today or tomorrow? And I'll be very, very blunt about when's the best time, today or tomorrow, not when's a good time for you. When's a good time for you, today or tomorrow? I want specifics. I want to know when. Get them on a call, speak to them, go through the usual kind of thing. If they've not seen or heard much from me at all, I'll engage in like a little bit of a back and forth in the inbox, 2 or 3 questions max, but I'll make sure they're very, very specific so that it gives me enough to kind of say, this would be better if we were to hop on a call and have a conversation about it. You've given me quite a lot of information there. Thank you very much. But it's going to be better if we have a chat about it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think sometimes too many people, so you'll message me and I'll go, oh, that's great. Let's hop on a call. Let's have a chat about it and see if the program's good for you. You've only just dropped me a message. Let's kind of warm it up a little bit. Let's juice it up a little bit first. And it can only be a simple case of, just give me a brief description of exactly what it is that you need help with right now. And they'll tell you diet, motivation, time, this, that, and that. That's too much for you to then solve a problem over message. Like, that's just common sense. You can't, without creating an essay, which they don't want to read, you can just thank them for the message and the information they've given you. So the next best thing for us to do is to actually discuss that in a little bit more detail. You've given me lots of info. Thank you very much. So it's going to be best if we have a chat about it. When's a good time? Today or tomorrow? Just to get them on the phone. You've started the conversation. The barriers come down a little bit. Let's hop on the phone. Let's have a chat. Let's go through it.
And if it's a new person, then you've had that back and forth a few times and you've booked the call in for later on today, would you say, go and read this post or go and check this thing out or go and read this first?
Definitely. I think like more and more now, I like people to have as much information, or at least as much of an insight into you as possible before they actually get on the phone. It's not a necessity, but let's say, for example, you've got the call booked in. You could just say, look forward to having a chat with you later on, then have a little look at this client testimonial or something like that, just something to build that little bit more of trust.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to do, but it's worthwhile.
Yeah. And the people watching this then, and the people are dropping you an inbox and you're having this back and forward conversation like Stuart just talked about, and they've maybe said they're a mother of 2, go and find some sort of testimonial you have that's very similar to their situation, and you can say, oh, you know what, I've got someone similar to that. Go and read about this person so they can relate to that person.
100%.
That testimonial, that post or whatever has almost converted them ready for the call.
100%. They're seeing someone similar to themselves. They're seeing themselves in the thing that they are watching. Like one thing I'm trying to get a lot of my guys to do, my coaches, whatever, is a lot of client interviews, because it sets people up to see themselves before they speak to you. So if you can interview your clients, 10 or 15 minute interview where it's like, let's have a little chat. So like this, now get on Zoom, get on FaceTime, whatever, doesn't matter, just get it recorded. Tell me how you felt 6 months ago, what struggles, what problems were you having, etc., etc., etc. Now tell me about how you feel now. It's not even like a testimonial about you and your services. It's an interview about how they felt previously and how they feel now. Yeah. You're separating current state and desired state, which is something that we'll dive into with the sales stuff. So they're already seeing and hearing things that they've never really said out loud. You've sent this video and they're watching a 10-minute interview. Try and break it down and send them a couple of clips, whatever. That's going a little bit too deep into it. But like you said there, give them something that they can relate to. Find clients that sound a lot like what this person is, and just put it in front of them, get them to watch it, and it will help massively, because you can have that as a conversation in the sales conversation as well.
Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of like a non-paid ads. Now we're in ads. We're sending people to a landing page or an application form. They're giving you their details. We're phoning them up, and maybe this is to book them in for a consultation before we actually make the sale. Is there much of a difference between booking people in for a consultation and actually making a sale on a phone call, or is it roughly the same type of conversation you'd have?
What do you mean for that? Sorry, say that again.
You've run a Facebook ad, and let's say one business is booking people in for consultations like we do. We book people in for consultations at the gym, so you have one phone call there. Or because of what's going on, you might do the sale over the phone. Are those two conversations different, or are they roughly the same?
To be honest, for the consultation one, you kind of just, at that point, you are trying to find out very quickly if they are a good fit for what you do. You don't have to go into too much detail, but you're also trying to get them to commit to showing up. If it's consultations, like you mentioned, where they've got to go to a physical place, it would be a case of setting the agenda would simply be a case of, the reason for this call is to ask you a series of questions to find out what it is that you're struggling with, what it is you want to achieve, and whether you would be a good fit for what it is that we do. If that's the case, the next step will be for me to book you in for a consultation where you'll turn up to the gym. We'll go through this XYZ. If we get to that point, I may ask you for a refundable deposit. Things like that may just make things a little bit easier if they're short rate or whatever. But you're basically just saying that this conversation is for you to almost sell it to me that I should book you in for a consult, to give you the opportunity to potentially come and work with us. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously with the sales conversation, you go into a lot more detail. That consultation call, 10 minutes max, 10, 15 minutes, absolute maximum. There's no selling to be done. It's almost like an interview for them, for you to say, yeah, okay, cool, you can come in. We'll book you in. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously a full-on sales conversation will just be a lot more in depth.
So my sister is doing Stuart's sprint course at the minute, and she tends to book people in to come into the gym and have conversations here. Something she was telling me, which Stuart just mentioned just a little bit then, was taking deposits. What is the purpose of taking deposits for the people that are watching?
I mean, to be fair, you kind of get to thin the herd quickly, and that's a very vital role in sales. Thin the herd as quickly as possible. If they're not committed, get rid. Like, it's as simple as that. As a coach, if you're booking in, say, for example, with your gym, if you're getting 20 or 30 consultations booked in per week, that's a huge time and energy commitment on your behalf. So if you're getting a 50% short rate, then that's a pain in the arse. That's a real negative effect. There's other reasons why you would have a better short rate, all the follow-ups that you can do once they've booked in and yada, yada, yada. But I always find that a deposit is a good way of finding out if people are going to actually show up or not. Even if it's a tenner, like £10 deposit is simple. If they're not willing to put a £10 deposit, I'm going to assume that they're not going to show up. And if they did, they also might not pay.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? So one of the ways that I like to kind of frame the deposit is the start. You'll say, if we get you onto the consultation, it'll involve a refundable deposit. When it gets to the point of that part, you say, okay, perfect. So I think it would be great to get you into the gym. As I mentioned previously, it will come with a refundable deposit. It's £10. You can either have, when you arrive to the consultation, whether you join our program or not, you have the option to have that refunded or have it as a charitable donation. Just something like that, make them feel better about having a great session and then, putting it to charity, whatever. Yeah. But just frame it. You are telling them why you take that deposit. And we do it this way. The reason why we do that is we want to make sure that, firstly, you show up for the consultation. We only have a certain amount of spaces per week. So yeah, we just want a level of commitment from everyone. We're committing to you. You commit to us. Job done.
Yeah, and it massively reduces time wasters, because if they're not willing to put that £10 down, they're not likely to turn up anyway. And the other thing that it's done, and we've done this a few times, is, I forgot my card at home.
And we was like, oh, don't worry, you paid your deposit. We can just charge that card.
Yeah, absolutely. It's simple things like that. You know, that's fine. We've got your details anyway. We'll process that our end. Take the £10 off. Job done. Crack on. Simple as that.
So we're now making sales on the phone, or we're just sat down with them in general, having a conversation to make that sale. How do we start a conversation in a particular way, or is it just dive straight in and ask a few questions?
So it's always good to kind of break the ice and just have a little bit of small talk, because we're all human. We're all just having conversations with people. So find ways that you like to start a conversation. Normally with mine, because it's all over the phone, it's, hey, is that such and such? It's Stu here from such and such. How's your day been? Yeah, busy. You know, been up to much? Doing anything crazy at the weekend? Work been busy? Little things like that.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. You could even add a few little awkward ones in there that lower the barriers. What, you know, hey, it's Stu here from such and such. You know, how's your day been? Yeah, all good. What do you do for fun then? Like, that's a weird one. Nobody asks that question.
Yeah,
you know, when you meet a friend or someone that you haven't seen for a while, they'll go, how's work? How's work been? Then no one asks you what you're doing for fun these days. That's like instantly a nice conversation to have straight off the bat. What do you do for fun these days? Oh, well, you know, I like going to film, you know, the movie. Like, it just starts like it starts on a different foot. It's a positive way to start a conversation, because sometimes, or the majority of the time, how's your day been? Hectic, busy, stressful. Or how's work been? It's a nightmare, you know, it's really stressed out, yada. Cool. What do you do for fun? Or what would you like to do for, you know, little things like that. It just starts on a positive. And then from there, you know, once you've had a little bit of small talk,
again,
say, right, okay, cool.
But just before you go on, that is key, because when people come into the gym, or they're expecting this phone call, this sales call that they've booked into, a lot of them are scared.
Yeah.
Walking in the gym and they're nervous, they're shaking, they may be sat in the car for 20 minutes before they even turned up. If you can relax them, make it a positive start, like you say, what do you do for fun? It's like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it. And then they just feel more relaxed. When someone's relaxed, they're more open to give you what you're probably going to next.
Yeah, absolutely. And find some middle ground as well. See if you've got any similarities with them, any common ground. You know, if they're into sports or something, you know, find out the sport. If you're into football and they're into football, what team sport? You know, really simple things like that. If they've got kids, ask them about the kids. You know, if you've got a niece or a nephew or whatever, you know, similar, like, just find common ground. It's crucial. They don't want to feel as though they're talking to a stranger. They want to feel like they're talking to somebody they know. So just let them relax, chill them out, find some common ground, and then it's very easy to transition into the next part.
And what is the next part then?
It's going, right, you know, okay, cool. What we'll do is we'll dive straight into it, if that's okay. The reason why we're on this call, if it's a phone call, or the reason why we're having this consultation, is we're looking to find out whether, you know, we're looking to go through exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve and what you're struggling with. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I just want you to answer them as honestly and as openly as possible, giving me as much information, so that I can then determine whether that, one, you're a good fit for what we do, and ultimately give you an opportunity to enroll onto the program at the end of this call, at the end of this consultation.
Yeah.
There's no question. Sorry, go on.
What's the purpose of being so upfront, telling them the outcome? Is it because a lot of people go in trying to be sneaky about making the sale, where you're going straight in at the end? If you're a good fit, I am going to sell to you. What difference does that make to a sales conversation?
Massively, because people aren't stupid. They're not dumb. They know they're there for a reason. They've inquired to want to work with you, and they know there's going to be something to buy at some point. So if we go in and try and be all a little bit sneaky, and then we've let them bring their barriers down because they don't believe they're going to be sold to, when it then pops up that you're trying to sell, it's a bit, they've been caught off guard. Then it's a bit sneaky. You've slipped in a sale in the back door. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those where you're being very transparent. People appreciate you being honest, but again, it gives you the opportunity to thin the herd if needed. Because if they crop up and go, oh, I didn't realize this was paid, I thought it was free, you've already told me there's going to be something to buy. I thought it was free. Oh God. You could say, okay, well, apologies for you thinking that it's free, but no, it will be a paid program. Is that going to be a problem for you at all? Are you ready to invest in the program if it's a good fit? And then you can have that conversation. If they say, oh, I've got no money, yada, yada, yada. You say, okay, cool. You've got no money. That's not a problem. Here's a free resource. I'll catch up with you in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
See how you're getting on. Just rebook them in, whatever. Just move on. You don't want to spend an hour with someone or 45 minutes or 30 minutes with someone who ultimately was never going to pay.
And it's harsh. It might seem harsh. You just want to get them out the door. But at the same time, you might have somebody in your inbox wanting to chat to you who is ready to pay. So it might sound harsh just to get them straight out the door if they're not going to pay. But you have 100%. To look at your own mind. A load of no's during sales consultation can put a mark down on everything.
And to be honest, they'll be happy to quickly get out the door. If they realize that there is something to buy and they've got no intention to pay, they will not want to hang around anyway, because people are awkward. Yeah. So they're like, it's a paid program. Is that going to be a problem? Once you've distinguished that it is a problem and they're not going to pay, just say, oh, cool. Well, what I'll do is we can end the consultation now, or we can end the call now. And I will email you a free resource that you can follow, get some great results from. And let's reschedule for, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks time. Is that good with you? Yeah, cool. No worries. Thank you very much. We'll see you later. Just a polite way of telling them to go, to get out. And that's what you are doing. We're dealing with humans.
Yeah. So we've broke the ice. We've told them that we're going to have a chat, and if they're a good fit, we'll potentially sell to them. Is there maybe 2 or 3 key questions you have to ask during the sales consultation?
So it's all broken down into different things where, and this works for face-to-face as well as a phone call, but it's a case of saying, okay, well, what exactly was it that motivated you to be here today or to be on this call today? That's just going to help you get a brief sort of, it starts it off. It gives you some information. It's going to be quite vague. They're going to tell you, I've been struggling with, a bit of this for a while, and I want to lose a little bit of weight, and I saw your advert, and I know a couple of people who are here as well, and I just thought it was about time to kind of make a start. You can find some useful bits of information in what they've said, about why they're motivated to be here. Don't respond to anything that they've said. Don't even reflect back on anything that they've said at this point. Just say, okay, cool, that's perfect. Thank you very much. So just talk to me about it then. What exactly is it that you're struggling with right now? And this is where you'll dive into the real kind of juice, the real stuff that you need. And they will probably be quite vague with what they say. So what you're struggling with right now, I need to lose a few stone or whatever else. Everything that they give you, do not respond back to what it is. Don't even give it the, okay, none of that. Just keep your mouth shut and let them speak. They've got thoughts going through their mind that they've never said out loud before, certainly not to a stranger. So let the words come out. Anytime that they finish, you just simply reply with, can you just expand on that for me a little bit, please? Until you're happy with the response that they give. This is where you really need information, because we're trying to diagnose their current state. Where are they right now? Where are they at? It's their agitated state. We want to hear as much about this as possible. So always just ask, can you just expand on that for me a little bit, please? What do you mean by that? Okay, and how does that affect things? How does that actually make you feel? That you keep going with it. You're not twisting the knife. You're not prodding the pain points. You're asking them just to continue talking. Just explain that for me. Just expand on that for me a little bit, please. How does that make you feel? Because we need to know all this stuff. What have you tried previously? Go through that type of stuff. And again, explain that, expand on that. How does that affect things? So you've asked them what they need help with. You've really squeezed all of that. You've asked them what they've tried before, yada, yada, yada. And then it gets to the point where, okay, you've discovered their exact desired state. Their exact sort of the diagnosis of where they are, their current state, their agitated state. They've just said all that out loud. Maybe they've took a big, deep breath. The next phase is, okay, well, let's flip it on its head then. Where exactly do you want to be? What is the big goal that you're trying to achieve? So you're separating it now. You're taking them from where they've been to where they want to go. One thing, actually, if we take a step back that I forgot to mention, is after we found their desired state, summarize it. Go back and summarize it. They've said it out loud. Now we're going to repeat it back to them. So it could be quite vital for you to take notes, even if you're in a face-to-face consultation or over the phone. Try and take notes if you can. Okay, so currently, right now, you struggle with this. It's affected you in this way. It makes you feel like this. You hate that it does that. Yada, yada, yada. You're just repeating back everything they've said. They've now heard it out loud. They've said it. Now they're hearing it. That is going to properly get their current state out in the open. And it becomes very, very real. Okay, perfect. Let's flip it around. Where do we want to be? What is the exact goal we're trying to achieve? Do the same process. Can you expand on that for me a little bit, please? Can you explain that for me? How would that make you feel?
Yeah.
How does that change things? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, you're just squeezing out the juice. You're just going through it all. You want to get them feeling really, really good about this positive environment of where they want to be, their desired state, and then finish off with summarizing it. Summarize it again. Right. Okay, perfect. So you told me that you want to achieve this because it will help you do this. It will make you feel this way, giving you this benefit, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've summarized it. So now that we've got those kind of things out the way, there's like one question that you then just ask them to expand on, and then you summarize. So you could say there's one or two questions there. The next part is going to be probably one of the most crucial parts because it's where they start to sell themselves onto your program or whatever it is that you do. So you've just summarized it. What is it exactly that is stopping you from achieving all of that on your own right now? And then just go deadly silent. They're going to give you all the information that you need. They're going to tell you why they can't do it on their own. If they turn around and say, oh, well, I can. I just, need some help. Okay, well, why haven't you achieved that already then? If you can, why haven't you? That's how you can always just respond to that one. Why can't you achieve this on your own right now? They're going to go through and give you everything you need to hear, everything, because they've got no motivation, they've got no accountability, they've got no diet, they don't know what to do, they're struggling with this, that, blah, blah, blah. Do not respond to any of the stuff that they're telling you. Don't coach it. Don't sympathize with it. Don't do anything. Just move on to the next part of it, which is where you'll sort of ask, why now then? Why is it important for you to change this right now? And they'll tell you because reasons why they need to do it now. They're telling you why they need to do it now. They're telling you they can't do it on their own. They're telling you that they need to do it now. And then you say, okay, well, is this actually a priority for you then? Is this something that you're committed to changing right now? Yes. Perfect. So at that point, you've got everything that you kind of need to go through. You should have had all of the information that you need. So we've got the main body of the questions part of the sales flow.
Yeah.
It's then moving into the offer stage essentially.
And that is usually the scariest part for most people, is to actually ask for that sale. People
don't know how to people find it very awkward to transition from the conversation to the offer because it can sound incredibly unnatural if you do not practice this part and have it set up in a very, very good way. Because a lot of people get to that point and go, are you committed? Yeah. Okay, so the program then, and it just sounds awkward. It doesn't sound like it doesn't fit the conversation. So there's ways to go through it. This part is why it's very important to take notes, because you can then claw back with the words that they've used to put into this part of the conversation. So are you committed to doing this right now to change? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to talk you through it. Typically, we help women, if it's a woman, we help women who are trying to go back to what they want to achieve. And we do that through our name of your program, which is a 6-week program where we take you through everything from your diet and your training to make sure that you are burning calories, dropping body fat, blah, blah. Have a very vague description of what your program is. You don't need to be feature heavy whatsoever. Barely mention any features. I mentioned that there's diet and that there's training. I don't need to tell them that they track calories and they have meal plans and they have recipe books. That's irrelevant. So we do that via nutrition, training, yada yada. Be quite vague as you go through. Be quite heavy on the benefits. So which means it will help you do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 to put you in a position. Yada yada yada. Does that all make sense so far? Yes. Okay, perfect. So, do you have any questions about the program itself? Is there anything you want me to run through in a little bit more detail? We've been vague. We've just been vague about the program. They're going to ask us the questions that they want to ask to get the answers that they want. If we had have just spent 5 minutes talking about the nutrition program, the training program, the way that we do periodization blocks and focus on strength and make sure we're in the rep ranges of 10 to 12 and then we track calories, blah, blah. They might not give a shit about any of that. That might not be what's important to them. What's important to them is the result. But if you mention a couple of things that they maybe believe that they don't need, all of a sudden this entire program isn't for them.
Yeah.
They've got one little negative drawback. So be vague about the features, go heavy on the benefits, and then open the floor to them. Do you have any questions about anything to do with the program? Anything you want me to run through in a little bit more detail? Of course, we're going to have questions. How long is it? When you mentioned the diet before, what is it that I'll have to do? I've done loads of diets in the past, and I just can't do anything that's super, super strict. I know, don't worry about that. That's a question that comes up quite a lot. What our members find is that when we start the nutrition aspect of this program, you will start to fully understand exactly what you can eat, understand that there aren't no bad foods, and that this will be the last diet that you'll ever do. So we're gonna work through your nutrition on a weekly basis so that you do lose weight every single week and that you can feel more confident about setting up your own meal structures, maybe counting calories. We're going to set you up in the best way that suits you. Again, I've been vague, but I've been more specific to what their question was. Because again, ultimately, we're not hiding anything. It doesn't matter what the stuff is. The stuff isn't important. It's the result that's important to them. So we don't need to flood them with features. We just don't. It's pointless. So you'll have answered their question. They'll ask you more stuff. Cool. As many questions as they need to ask, let them ask it, because they're going to ask all of the stuff that they want to know about. Maybe they're unsure on a set of things, so you just reassure them. Maybe they want to know more about this, tell them more about it. Always think about the benefits. The reason why we're getting them to ask questions is because we want them to get to a point where they ask us, oh, how much is it? Once they've asked how much, you've got no awkwardness now of telling them the price or giving them your offer. They've done all the hard work for you. They've done it all. They've made your life a million times easier. And I'll go into, if they don't ask the price, what do we do? I'll go into that in a sec, but let's keep the flow going. So they've got to the point where they've gone, oh, sorry, yes, how much is it? Okay, perfect. So what we do is, and the way that I like to do it, I always like to have like some form of incentivized offer based on making a decision, like there and then or today, whatever. Yeah. So it'd be a case of, okay, perfect. So the way that this works is, I do believe that you are a good fit for the program. You wouldn't have got this far in the conversation if I didn't think you were a good fit. So thanks very much for giving me all the answers and yada yada. The way that it works is we have like a normal everyday price for the program, but we like to give people an incentive to make a quick decision. Meaning, if you decide now that you do want to go ahead with it, you're just going to get a bunch of money off. Make a little joke, that's a bonus, win-win for everybody, whatever. Just tell them that, we have an incentive based on you making a decision today or now. Normally, so you can raise your voice a little bit here. Normally, cost of the program is 500 quid. The incentivized base price, so if you were to dive in with us and decide that you want to move ahead, it's $399. You just lower your tone a little bit when it comes to displaying the actual offer, and you'll see the difference with what I've said there. The normal price is £500. The incentivized base price is $399. It just sounds a lot nicer. Those numbers sound a lot nicer in someone's head. So if it's thousands, it's 2,500. But today, it's 1,800. It just sounds like it's less, and it's it just works better. It sounds a lot better in people's minds. Like, think of it for yourself. You know, there's a reason why, you know, when you see adverts for Currys and it's like, you know, 50% off all tellies, you can get this 60-inch for just $999. Sounds better than £1,000, doesn't it? It's only £1 less, but it sounds better. You're more intrigued by that offer. So that's why we use that. And just go completely silent. Once you've given them the price, just go completely silent. It's on them to do the next phase. It's on them to do the legwork for you next as well. So that's a really simple way of doing it. You're getting to the point where they ask you how much it is. And I mentioned, if you feel as though they are not getting to the point of asking you how much it is, and you're feeling like it's going to start getting a little bit awkward, again, do you have anything you want to go through? Any more questions about the program at all? Or are you happy with everything you've heard so far? Yeah, I'm happy. All good. Right. Okay. Well, normally people will ask how we get you, ask about next steps. So the way that it works is we get you set up with your name and email address. We'll create you a profile. We'll take payment from you, which is via card details, long card and expiry date 3 on the back. Once that's all set up, you'll get a few things automated through, fill out a few forms, and you're all ready to go. So you're happy to move ahead. And they'll go, oh yeah, sorry, how much is it? Oh, sorry, silly me. So the way that it works, and you just dive into your offer again, you just force them to ask you the question because you've assumed that they're signing up there and then, but they haven't asked you the price, so they'll ask it anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's just little ways that we've worked on getting people to actually ask the price, and it works quite well, to be fair.
Yeah, and then you mentioned something, because we're almost getting an hour now. When you say the price, you don't say anything. No. It's one of the hardest things. Just say the price and just keep your mouth shut. Don't say a word. They've got a bunch of things spiraling around their mind at this point. We don't want to add to that. This is a very critical part of the whole conversation. We don't want to add to their thoughts. We're trying to peel away options. It can be the longest silent period of your whole entire life.
Yeah. You might be silent for 10 seconds, but it'll feel like an hour. And you'll always get it, like, where you'll be silent and you'll be sat there, eyes closed, like, doing whatever, if you're on a call, and they'll go, oh, hello, are you still there? Yeah, I'm just waiting for your decision. Easiest thing in the world to do. And if it's a face-to-face consultation, you've just spent the last hour, giving them eye contact and talking to them. You can literally do it as simple as, normally everybody prices this, but today it's $399. They're going to have to say something because nobody likes awkward silences. They might look away. They might do, just keep looking at them. You're not being awkward and being horrible and putting them off. It's their turn to speak. It's how a conversation works. I talk, you talk, you talk, I talk. That's how it works. All it is they weren't expecting you at that moment in time to stop talking.
Yeah.
And now it's on them.
But
it's your turn.
It's so key not to say anything. You say something, and this is what you're probably going to now. You change their mind more or less. Easily change their mind because you're giving them the ability to stop thinking. What they want to do in that moment in time is they want to stop thinking what they're thinking. So if you stay silent, they have to think it and they have to make a decision based on what they're thinking. But if you go, it's normally $399. And we can get you all set up and you'll end up saying things that will either put them off about it, they didn't want to hear, they don't care about, or it's planted that tiny little seed that they needed to go, oh, I'll go away and think about it. Just shut your mouth. Don't add things to their thought process. Say what you need to say and shut up. Yeah, it's key because, like, you've mentioned this in the last one and we talk about it all the time. Once you've said the price and you start talking again, it's like you're trying to justify that this is a good price. Yeah,
100%. It's like when you go and buy a car, it gives you the price and he stays quiet. And you have to sit there and stress over whether you want to pay that or not. Doesn't really add to it. Just goes, let me know what you think. And then he'll go back on his computer or check his phone or whatever. So it's on you to decide next, and they just go completely silent.
If you are buying a car, though, top tip, when he does that, get up, start walking out the door and watch him chase you and give you a look.
I had it with I sold my car to WeBuyAnyCar.com, and I said to my girlfriend, I was like, listen, when he gives us the value, don't fucking speak, because I'm not going to speak either. And he gave us it, and we were, all three of us were just sat in a room, like, just staring at the different walls. And in the end, he was like, so, you know, do you want the offer? I was like, nah, you're gonna have to beat that. I'm not selling it for that much. And then he went away on his phone, his laptop, and he did more stuff. So I won because he spoke first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a tough one, but once you get into it, you'll enjoy the silences. You'll get a thrill out of the silence.
Yeah. Okay, we've almost hit an hour mark now, and we try and keep these below an hour. There's so much stuff here that people probably gonna be pressing stop, rewind, stop, rewind, stop, rewind.
Well, good.
So that you've literally told them how to do it all. There's no reason people can just listen to this or watch this and follow 100%. It step by step. But if they've still got questions, or they want to know more about your sprint, or about, what was the other program you had?
To be honest, the agency. So I've got FitPro Sales, which is the agency. More likely than not, they will want to know about the sprint, because the agency isn't really a good fit for everybody. It's quite like it's not really niched, but not many people have the systems and processes in place that required for it. So, if they want any information about anything, to be honest, add me on Facebook. If they go onto my bio, I've got a link to my email list on there anyway, which I'll talk through a bunch of stuff on there, or I will be when I start emailing. Other than that, it would be Instagram, which is Stu_FitPro Sales. And yeah, that's where I'm active. Facebook, Instagram, and then my email list.
Perfect. So guys, anybody watching or listening that wants to know more, go and find Stuart on Facebook. I'll probably tag him in this anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's just see.
So that was the interview. What did you think about it? Okay, it was really interesting how we went through one stage to another, and all the stages have very similar patterns, okay, about the way we talk to people and how we guide the whole flow, whether it's the lead coming in, speaking to them on the phone, and actually making that sale. Some of the real key points he was talking about having those quiet periods where we let them talk, let them unload what they want to talk about onto you, is really going to help you make that sale. And obviously, to feel confident when you're talking to them on the phone or in that consultation, you don't want to go all quiet and start whispering when it comes to the price, because if you do that, they're going to feel like you're not confident in what it is you have to offer or to sell. Anyway, like I said right at the start, if you're new to the channel, you can always subscribe by clicking that big red button below. That way then you make sure you never miss another episode, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers.